Aristotle aims to identify the highest good for human beings, while most people believe that the highest good is the acquisition of material things, material wealth, pursuit of honor, or satisfaction of bodily pleasure. Aristotle argues that all of this is good in some way. Material wealth is always acquired for the purpose of attaining something. Pursuing honor is not connected to any characteristics of the person himself, but how others perceive him. And satisfying bodily pleasures is not good peculiar to human beings. Here, Aristotle gives us insight into an important component of the highest good. It must be something that is consistent with the maximization of our faculties as a human beings. And what separates human beings from non-human animals is our capacity for reason and life that aims only at satisfying bodily pleasure is life. Aristotle claims is not for human beings but for cattle, and so he argues that a good life for a human being would focus to a significant extent on contemplation and learning or acquiring the intellectual virtues. Aristotle associates the intellectual virtues with what we might identify as scientific knowledge.
Aristotle and how we all aspire for a good life. He is the first philosopher approach the problem of reality from a scientific lens we know now. He is also the first thinker who delved into the complex problematization of the end goal of life, which is happiness. This man is no other than the famous philosopher Aristotle. Kumpara sa kanyang guro na si Plato, Aristotle embarked on a different approach in figuring our reality. According to Plato, all things in this world are not real. Bakit niya kaya ito nasabi? It is because that they are only copies of the real in the world of form. Aristotle puts everything back to the ground in claiming that this world is all here, is to it, and that this world is only in reality we can all access. Ayon ulit kay Plato, ang pagbabago ay nakakalito at nakakagulo. That can make only sense if there are two realistics, the world of form and the world of matter. Maaari nating i-consider tayong mga tao. Try to look at your camera or mirror kung hindi ka naka-open cam ngayon. At makikita mo ang iyong sarili. At masasabi mong, ito pala yung natulog kagabi. At ito na pala ako. Maaaring parang pimple sa iyong ilong na nagsimula sa pagkamaliit, lalaki at biglang mawawala. It is the same is true for a seed that you threw out of the garden last month. At lilimutin mo ito ngayon. At nakikita mo yung pagbabago. Plato recognized that the changes is a process. At tunay na nangyayari ito sa ating mundo. For Plato, this can only be explained by two aspects of reality, the world of form and the world of matter. World of matter is changing and impermanent. Ito yung nagbabago at hindi permanente. And world of forms are entities, only copies of the idea and the models.
Aristotle forwarded the idea that there is no reality over and above the senses can perceive. So it is only by observation and the external world. According to him, change is the process that inherits things. Happiness as the ultimate purpose of the human existence. So every human being moves according to some end. So this end is the happiness or the human flourishing. So in fact, no one resists to happiness. We all wanted to be happy despite of our differences. But we may not realize it right away. But Aristotle believes that the end goal of everything is happiness. But it does not necessarily mean that every day we get the same kind of happiness. Instead, Aristotle actually mean is human flourishing. So it is a kind of contentment knowing that one is getting the best out of life.
A pleasant good morning to everyone. Now let's discuss happiness as the goal of a happy life. Now, should we start? Of course, what is the meaning of happiness? Let's start with that. So, according to the Oxford Dictionary, happiness is the state of being happy, which means as long as there is joy, fulfillment, and contentment, everyone can attain happiness. Now let's begin in the 18th century, in which John Stuart Mill declared the Great Happiness Principle. However, he was not the one who introduced the principle itself. It was Jeremy Bentham, a predecessor of John Stuart Mill. Now, the principle states that all actions are good as long as they tend to promote happiness. However, with this meaning, it can be compared to utilitarianism, in which it asks a question, what should a person do? To answer that question, of course, a person must maximize happiness and minimize pain and suffering. At that time, people seem to be thoughtful about metaphysical claims. Metaphysical, of course, is defined as the study of concept about reality. People seem to be baffled about what Aristotle said about the human development. Hence, Aristotle did claim that happiness is the be-all and end-all of everything we do. It just means that happiness is the aim and end of human existence. There are many controversies about this principle, considering being happy or achieving happiness may harm others. Now let me ask a question. Are you willing to risk everything just to attain that happiness?
Study says that happiness promotes a healthy lifestyle. According to some researcher, the good life can be defined as a life marked by a high standard of living. The good life can be defined as a way that someone plans to live virtuously, like having a great education, enough money, and helping others. Also, happiness is basically a state of mind. Moreover, it can only be achieved by being positive and avoiding any negative thoughts in mind. True happiness is enjoying your own company and living in peace and harmony with your body, mind, and soul. To be truly, you don't need other people or material things. Happiness is the consequence of personal effort in living a life of purpose. So if you live a happy lifestyle, you are living in a high standard way of
Materialism. The first materialists were the atomists in ancient Greece. Democritus and Leucippus lead a school whose primary beliefs is that the world is made up of and is controlled by the tiny invisible in the world, called atomos or seeds. For Democritus and his disciples, the world, including human beings, is made up of matter. There is no need to posit immaterial entities as sources of purpose. Atomos simply comes together randomly to form the things in the world. As such as only materials entities matter. In terms of human flourishing, matter is what makes us attain happiness. We see this at work, with the most people who are clinging onto a material wealth as the primary source of the meaning of their existence.
Hedonism is a school of thoughts that argue seeing pleasure and avoiding suffering are the only component of well-being. And while the concept sounds simple, I think the same as other things in our life, we can look at it from different perspective. To a certain extent, I could argue that we are all hedonists because as human, we are always looking easiest way out. If I had to choose or the stair or elevator, I would go with elevator. If I have to write about simple topic or complex topic, then I will go with easiest one. Of course, I care about my future, so sometimes I make a decision that involves hard and relentless work to achieve my goals that does not sound so hedonistic. And here it become a little bit confusing because in the short term, I'll be suffering by doing all the work, but in the long run, when I achieve my goals, I'll enjoy it and therefore, I could say that I am a pleasure seeker. I don't think there's anything wrong with striving for a pleasure in life because that is something we all enjoy. When I feel good, it gives me the motivation and drive to do something great and that is helping me to make progress in my life. There is no need to choose if you are hedonist or not as some people are 20% hedonist while might be 60% hedonist.
Aside hedonism, Stoicism is another school of thought led by Epicurus. For the Stoics, happiness can only be attained by a careful practice of apathy. We should, in this worldview, adopt the fact that some things are not within our control. The sooner we realize this, the happier we can become. Ang Stoicism ay tinukoy bilang pagtitiis ng kasiyahan o sakit ng hindi nagpapakita ng emosyon. Ito ay isang taong kayang tiisin ang sakit o paghihirap na hindi nagpapakita ng kanilang nararamdaman. O hindi sila nagrereklamo. Bagamat totoo na ang Stoicism ay nakakatulong sa mga tao na maging matatag at mahinahon kapag nakakaharap o nahaharap sa kahirapan o problema. For the Stoics, everything is a matter of attitude. Nothing can make you happy or unhappy without your consent. So, ang Stoic person ay hindi very emotional. Sila yung tanggap kung ano man ang mangyayari. Katulad ng halimbawang ito, may isang tao na sumali sa singing contest. At siya ay natalo pero parang wala lang sa kanya yung nangyari. Wala lang sa kanya yung pagkatalo niya kasi tanggap niya kung ano mangyayari sa event na yon.
Or in Filipino paniniwala sa Diyos, believe in the existence of one God viewed as the creative source of the human race and the world who transcends yet is immanent in the world. Theism states the existence and continuance of the universe is owed to one supreme being, who is distinct from creation. For this reason, Theism proclaims a dualistic relation between God and the world, wherein God is a being who controls events from outside of the human world. The main question Theism raises is whether God should be seen only as transcendent, that is beyond the limits of human experience and the material world. Most people find the meaning of their lives using God as a fulcrum of their existence. The Philippines, as predominantly Catholic country, is witness on how people have their life goals on beliefs that hang on some form of supernatural reality called heaven. The ultimate basis of happiness for theists is the communication with God, the world, where we are is an only just temporary reality, where we have maneuver around while waiting for the ultimate return to the hands of God. Maraming tao ang naniniwala sa Diyos. Most of them believe that they find their meaning of their lives through God. Karamihan sa mga tao sa Pilipinas, ang kanilang relihiyon ay Catholic. Kaya tinawag na Catholic country ang bansang Pilipinas. Ang pinakamasaya at ang pinakamahalaga bilang isang theist ay ang komunikasyon nila sa Panginoon.
Humanism is another school of thought espouses the freedom of man to carve his own destiny and to legislate his own laws, free from the shackles of a God that monitors and controls. For humanists, man is literally the captain of his own ship. They see themselves not merely as stewards of the creation, but as an individuals who are in control of themselves and the world outside them. As a result of the motivation of the humanists, scientists eventually turned to technology in order to ease the difficulties of life. Scientists of today, meanwhile, are ready to confront more sophisticated attempts at altering the world for the benefit of humanity. Some people now are willing to tamper with time and space in the name of technology.
It proposes that people can resolve problems through the use of science and reason, rather than looking to religious traditions. Humanism instead focuses on helping people live well, achieve personal growth, and make the world a better place. At ito ay nagpapatibay sa pananaw na ang tao ay may mga karapatan at responsibilidad para mabigyang kahulugan ang kanilang sarili o kanyang sariling buhay bilang pagpapahalaga.